The 2019 Child's Play movie that is out now is a remake of the original Child's Play, which was a franchise that started, I think, sometime in the 80s, about a psycho doll named Chucky, who's supposed to be a toy to be, a buddy, a companion to the kid, you buy the toy for, but, goes crazy. And this one is the same. Well, that's the basic premise, but beyond that, like, a lot of stuff about this movie is very different from the original one, from what I remember about it. Because I watched some of the first Child's Play when I was a little kid, so I only have vague memories of what they were like. But I remember them being like, they didn't really have as much depth in the writing as this one does, which leads me into what I thought of the movie. I thought Child's Play the remake was surprisingly good. I wasn't expecting that much out of it, but it was a really well done movie because, just like the old ones, the best way for me to talk about it is how it compares to the original. Now, the original Child's Play movies were good enough because, the character of Chucky is well known in pop culture and is carried on today. A lot of people today, I think, know who he is because that character was a really, cool horror slasher, kind of character in the 80s, like slasher movie craze. But those movies, like I was saying, they never really seemed to be that deep in the writing. It was like Chucky would just come out, kill some people, and the whole funny thing, the gag was, there was a comedic element to the old Child's Play movies where, it was a grown man voicing this doll that was supposed to be for kids, saying, really like dirty things a grown man would say, with sexual innuendo and just, profanity and things like that. Because, in those movies, where Chucky came from is there was like some kind of magical or mystical reason why the soul, the spirit, or the mind of a criminal was put into a doll. In this movie, the new one, the whole genesis of Chucky is completely different. Chucky is like a doll that's like kind of like it's a mixture between a doll and like a smart home system, where it's like you buy Chucky, or it's a buddy doll. You buy a buddy doll for your kid, and not only is it a companion to your kid, but it like syncs up to like, this AI that, can control things in your house and your TV and things like that. So this Chucky is all technologically based and like kind of like merged with an AI system, sort of, kind of. And basically why this Chucky goes evil is, in the manufacturing plant, something happens that messes up with his programming and his wiring. So he becomes evil. Sort of, kind of, but he still kind of is like a robotic toy. So basically by being with, the family, the kid that he's with is named Andy, played by Gabriel Bateman. The mother's Aubrey Plaza. And of course, the voice of Chucky is Mark Hamill. But, when he's with this little boy, I guess by learning in the environment and the surroundings, Chucky is taught how to be evil unintentionally. They're not a bad family, but, Chucky will watch horror movies with the little boy and learn things. And because he has wacky programming, he starts having a warped sense of right and wrong and becomes kind of a psychopath. But a psychopathic robot, and not like a grown man in a psychopath, in a doll's body, is what I'm saying. So that's the difference. And because of that, the movie shows Chucky's evolution from being a quote-unquote innocent doll into becoming like an evil killer. And in that process, we see him bond with the boy, and he's like the boy's best friend. And like, because they show the emotional bond between the two of them and the family, the movie does have more emotional depth. You're more invested in these characters, and, it's just a deeper movie. Even a lot of the surrounding people, they live in this apartment building, but, little boy has friends, there are other adults in the apartment building. They're written with a bit more depth in their relationships. It's like almost like this little community in this building. So because of that, and because of, Chucky himself is kind of like innocently evil, at least at first, and we see his growth, this movie does have a lot more depth, I think, in its emotional depth and its storytelling, which makes it a better movie. I mean, just a deeper movie than the original ones. I mean, the original ones were good for what they were, but I never really thought that they were that really, like, deep or had much heart in them. I guess it's a weird word for me to say, but this one kind of does. And, all the performances are good. Mark Hamill does a great job voicing Chucky. It does sound like Mark Hamill, but it's a bit different. He doesn't sound like the Joker or anything, so I guess it's a testament to Mark Hamill's acting ability that he sounds like himself, but not like the Joker. He's able to do different kind of voice work. And I guess I knew it was Mark Hamill playing Chucky or voicing Chucky before I saw this movie, so I'm wondering, would I have known? I think I would have, because it still sounds like Mark Hamill, but he knows where to stop himself, so he doesn't sound like the Joker. He sounds like, just not like that. So there is some versatility to his performance, but it's a good performance. And just like the original Child's Play movies, this movie is gory with a lot of deaths. That's the same. The way people are killed and the over-the-top gore, that is still the same. And there's a lot of humor in this movie like the old ones. Because the old ones had a big comedy element too, as this one does too. But even though this movie's funny, this new one, it never really seems too silly. Which I think is interesting because of the emotional depth I mentioned earlier in my review. So yeah, Child's Play I was pleasantly surprised with this movie's quality. I was expecting it to just be some throwaway horror movie, and to a lot of people it will still be that, but it was a well done throwaway horror movie, right? It wasn't just, paint by the numbers, the slasher kills people, somebody runs and screams. They actually did more to give people in this movie depth and show their relationships, which I thought was very interesting, and it's something that elevates Child's Play from being a forgettable horror flick to one that, actually has, I guess, some heart, which is weird for me to say, but I said it. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.